Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk to you more about Akane, the legendary summoner from the Rebellion set. I've got 3 games I'm going to show you that I've already fought, and I think show something in particular about what this card can do and can't do. I'm still delving into how to best use it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm seeing anecdotal evidence from Splintercoach and friends who I know in Splinterlands, how they're winning with it, high levels of success with this card. So I know it's possible. I just need to find the path, and maybe you do too. So if you're using Akane, if you own it or you're renting it, maybe you'll want to stick around. If you want to understand even like how people are using it, and so that you can counter, this might be the video for you. Stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe. Okay, so I have 3 videos queued up, and I'm going to go through one at a time here. And yeah, these are just recent from today, things that I thought I saw really particularly special or noteworthy about this card. Akane's price point has been pretty stable last few days in this price range. I picked up most of mine in that $30 range. If you don't know, it's got the ambush and it's got the lookout. That's the card we're talking about. But before I show the video, I just want to say one thing I like about Peak Monsters recently is how when you look at your cards, you can see what you paid for the card. It gives me a price point for my Akane. But I paid $200 for 6 copies of it, not for 11. I had to pay 30 bucks each for the other 5. And so it shows, like, I guess the numeric code associated right there with this copy of Akane is the tracking device for the price paid. So when I bought 6, I got that card. That card was 200 bucks. And then I later added 5 other BCX to it. So I love this feature, but it's, you know, not entirely reliable. Look at combined into 6 by Gonzo. That's cool. That's really cool. Combined into 11 by Infidel. Anyways, love the new card. Let's see the battles. One card that I'm having a lot of success with, and maybe it's even just like an approach to how I'm using Akane, is you need to know who your carry cards are. If you can identify the cards that you are bringing to the table that can single-handedly win the match, if they're allowed to have their shots, then that's going to be the place where you want to place your ambush. I haven't used the lookout at all, not once in about 20 matches so far. And it's not that I dislike lookout. I think lookout's quite valuable. I think lookout is more of a card, a monster card that I want to play maybe in conjunction with a taunt monster, so I can control where the sneaks and the opportunities are going to land. But lookout feels like, in this context, if I was to use lookout, I'd be wanting to put it over here so that my Naga Assassin would have reduced melee damage. Now, it's a whole play in and of itself. It's like they're totally different lanes. If you were to play the lookout, you want to in this context, I would want demoralization, right? If I had demoralization, I could reduce his damage. I could, and then as their damage was brought lower, the lookout would make it even more low. And that's the real victory condition if you're going to use lookout. I haven't messed with that at all. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't use it. I think the ambush is the path to victory, especially if you can identify your victory conditions. For me, in this context, I need to get through this guy. I need to get through this guy and start hitting the batting order over here, which is the main problem. This guy, unfortunately, is quite resilient to what I'm doing. That's the problem. He's got the shield, and he's going to take a long enough time that these guys are going to be allowed to do work, which is a real problem for me. The taunt is going to attract all the attacks. Everyone's got cripple because of the rule sets. As I press on pause, we can see. I chose ambush on my Baradolin because it's a double strike, massive attack, right? You get the armor, get the armored strike, plus you get the melee attack. As you can see, I only have a level 3 Bara. Level 4 gives void armor, which would not be relevant in this context. And I did put my my second ambush over here on Vol'gin because it's my highest damage highest damage outputter. I thought about putting it on the Venari Crystalsmith because then I would help burn down the Chaos Knight that much quicker. And maybe that was a better path. Let's watch what happens though. Everybody's got sneak, but that's irrelevant. I thought if we can get through this, we can get over here. And so I put my Vol'gin on ambush. Watch what's going to happen. I brought a good amount of swiftness, but he brought some too. The Bearer does a huge amount of damage to their front end. Look at what happens here. The Retaliate actually hits, If you didn't know, any sort of procs or returns can happen. Retaliate, for instance, thorns. Those things are going to impact your ambusher. And so, or magic reflector or archery reflector, any of the appropriate abilities will respond to your ambush action. And as you can see in that context, my Vol'gin struck his Dumak and the Dumak retaliated. I thought before I chose my ambush, this is the point I wanted to make here. Before I chose that ambush, I thought to myself, based on the data in front of me before turn 0, I applied the ambush here. At the time, as you can see as I hold the cursor over the card, Vol'gin has 4 hit points. And the Dumak has 3 melee. 3 melee wouldn't kill me. But I failed to calculate the Inspire over here on the Chaos Knight, which brought the Dumak, because I anticipated he might retaliate me. I actually thought that would be good, because it would bring me to a lower hit point total, and it would give me it would proc my Enrage, making my 3 damage turn to 5, and my speed go from 3 to 5. But actually it would be bigger than that because I have swiftness. So I wanted to be retaliated. I wanted to be hit, but I failed to carry the Inspire over here into the Dumak, which would then turn it into a kill. And so my point is, when you're using Akane and you're relying on your ambush, you have that, like, I think it's a 1 minute window with which to apply your ambush to 2 different monsters. It's actually really tricky, and this will be something I'll learn, and you'll learn with time as you use this card. You'll learn more and more commonly which ones you like to use and how it works and when it doesn't work, etc. And remembering to always calculate the Inspires or the Silences or the Voids or whatever the case may be. It's more so the Demoralizes, the Headwinds, the Silences, on your team, against your team, but then also the Inspires, maybe the magic buffs from summoners and melee, you know what I mean? The damage buffs from your opponent, because it all plays in, plus even strengthen 1 more hit point. You might think I'm going to kill him when I hit him, and then he gets 1 more heart from his summoner, 2 more hearts from the summoner, and that changes everything. Because you don't, before turn 0, when you're picking your ambush, you don't see any of that. And so let's carry forward with the battle here. Not going to go well for me. Pulling down that 1 card was really critical. That was supposed to be a 5 damage doer with huge speed that would have probably burnt through the Dumak, probably really transformed this battle. As you can see, my Brera is getting crippled every time he gets hit, and the double strike over here is really key. This is a card I'm liking with the Brera, but we'll see that later. Or, I mean, this is the card that I'm liking with the Akane, but we will see that later. The poison was actually critical. That was another 2 damage. We're going into turn 3, and if we'd be at 9 hit points and we'd be into the meat and potatoes of his line now, if that poison didn't land last round. No armor, but this was such a low mana match. 26 is quite low. I do think this would have worked. I don't think it's really an issue of me having forced it per se. But as you can see, we went down. If, again, that poison didn't land in round 2, we survived that Dumak because that poison took away 2 hit points, and the shield on my Barrow would have saved me. I think we win this. If he doesn't retaliate me in the ambush phase, or if the poison didn't land on my Barrow in round 2. We were already in round 4. I think we were still alive at this point with my Barrow, just chipping away because of the heal from Venari. Didn't work out that way. Again, critical misunderstanding of how the stats are going to be allocated as we enter into turn 1, and you don't see that on the board in turn 0. So you got to remember that and mentally calculate all of it as fast as you can so that you make the right ambush choices. That's the point I wanted to share with you. Okay, next battle. Okay, so I'm Akane over here. And this was a really low match, as you can see, a really low match. Gladiators were available, I think. Let's see. No, my opponent's just using the Gladiator Summoner. But you can see everyone's got Poison, everyone's got Holy Protection, everyone lost Legendaries, 23 mana, Akane here. And so what I found in this context was that, again, like I said earlier, you need to know your carries. To me, going into this as I'm preparing it, I want I want my I'm expecting my Rose to go down from the poison, from the noxious fumes over here. And I'm expecting that to really improve my Dampier Infiltrator. But also I brought an Inspire with Thane New Song. I'm expecting this to be my carry card. And I did think Acid Shooter was going to help, you know, the 2 mana with the cripple and the poison. Mind you, the poison doesn't take effect in this context. But I love this card. You know, 2 mana, this kind of damage is really significant, especially with that cripple. Cripple. I thought this was going to be really powerful, and so you're going to see me utilize this. But here's the problem: I thought to myself, this sneak play is going to be my path to victory. But a couple things happen. He's got the Martyr. He wants me to sneak him, and so I thought to myself, well, what should I do? Should I change my plan? Does this change? You know, does this Venari Marks Rat change what I need to do? Does it change my win condition? Does it neuter? Does it impair my capacity to rely on my Dampier Infiltrator? And I said, no. As bad as that is, I don't want to martyr this Quora but I need to in order to get through it. And it's only 4 hit points, and I'm going to be kicking up good damage, and my martyr will still go down. So if I'm going to win, it's got to be the same way I came in. That's the card. So I just doubled down on what I planned. Let's see how it goes. Ambush. And the cripple brought him to 3, which despite the first hit was wholly protected, but the cripple procced, bringing his hit points to 3, and the second finished him. That was really key. Now the martyr, he pumps up the martyr, which is, I'm concerned at this moment. We break the holy shield, and we're kicking out a lot of damage. Now he's healing. He healed a significant amount there. And as you know, the noxious fumes is all, my guys are little. There's a lot of noxious fumes damage that's going to be hitting me. And that miss was really problematic. We need to get through this Chaos Agent so we can focus fire the Quora. I'm watching this. I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We broke the holy shield on the agent. The cripples, or we can't cripple because of immunity, but we are putting in significant damage on Quora. Everybody's going down, but then there's that martyr, which I always knew was going to drop, and we start seeing something really significant happening here. Is it too late? No. You have to know who your win condition is. When you're building your team, you don't want to pick Akane thinking, oh, ambush will work somewhere. Like, I'll just figure that out later. You need to go into your team construction understanding that certain cards are your carries and that they're going to provide a certain win condition. And of course, you need to be flexible when you build the team. You're thinking one plan, and you need to be flexible when you see the battlefield, because something might change. But somehow you need to be able to calculate and carry all those considerations I mentioned. The inspirations, the silences, the voids, like all of the abilities and the synergies and how they interact, because they're not gonna demonstrate themselves on turn 0. You need to read, the tea leaves essentially so that you can utilize your ambush with maximum efficiency. And you need to see in that before you apply the ambush, all somehow within a minute, you need to see where it would be best to apply that to move the needle in the biggest way. We've got one more here. Again, we're featuring Bara. This has a really high win rate for me. I was checking out my data earlier with Splintercoach. Bara's got 9 and 4, almost 700. This is an exceptional card so far, and this is only a level 3 for me. I do not have a level 4. Let's see how this one goes. As I look at this battlefield, I'm starting, and check it out, Yabamat. So Yabamat. So I am, as I was looking at this, I was nervous. We got a lot of damage. We got the double strike over here. We got the big double strike over here with the armor strike and the melee. Hang on, let's see the conditions. It's blast too, by the way. Oof. Okay. But this card is resilient. It's got the shield. It's got a big amount of hit points. He's got double tank heal. I was nervous, but as I go into picking my ambushes, I thought, do I force fire? Do we burn down the Grim Barden Smith? Like, meaning put the Baradalin ambush, put the Carnage Titan ambush. That was my initial plan. But again, you want to have flexibility. You want to understand. You want to have an initial idea of what you're going to do and how you're going to use that ambush, but you want to be prepared and flexible to move into some other alternative if an opportunity arises, which is what happens here. As I look at his team and I think to myself, this is quite resilient and I don't think I can burn it down in the first round. And even if I do, it's kind of not the win condition for me. Killing the Grim Smith is really, this card is a distraction. It's more than anything, this card is a distraction. It is, I want it dead, it needs to die, but it's not going to defeat me. It's not the card on the table that's going to kill me. It's just going to outlive me. And then behind that, what do we have? Another significant tank. Again, this is not a carry card. The Solus is 1 damage output. It's a resilient card. So he's got big resiliency with double heals. The win condition is wounding or killing some of this back line. And the one thing I took notice of, vulnerability, damage output back here, I can access that through the Chaos Dragon. And I thought to myself, he also, my only consideration in that 60 seconds that you get given for that ambush, planning, does he have a triage? Because if I go ahead and drop a Chaos ambush and I put, good damage on the Mary Put or on the Venari, which would be helpful. That'd be really significantly helpful. Or even over here, which, really is his damage, his output. Does he have a triage to just essentially erase that benefit? And he doesn't. So that's my win condition. I need to use the scatter shot. I need to use the blast damage to access the back line and erase his sustain or his damage. And that's what we try. So ambush on the Chaos. Now it lands on the front line, which is not the biggest impact for me. But you can never control the scatter shot, and it's still over here, which is great. It hit the Mary Pit a little bit. That's great. I did also use the Baradallan as my second ambush because that is my second most impactful ambush with the double strike ability. I could have used this, but I actually wasn't sure in this moment what the Armored Strike would do. The Armored Strike is shield reduced. That was important for me to learn. The Armored Strike damage is cut in half because of the shield on the opponent. But then he does it. The Fury is huge, man. The Runecrafter is a better card than I've sometimes given it credit for, but it's just not enough. And then the Runecrafter just eats the Chaos Dragon's second shot there, putting damage in all the right places for me. And that seems like we're on the right track now. Scattershot requires a little bit of luck, as we all know. It is frustrating when your Scattershot keeps landing in the places you don't want it to, and not where you need it. But in this context, with that second shot, it did land in a great spot. And to get 2 of those shots off in round 1, and the third shot lands in the Runecraft, that's an amazing shot. I don't think Yaba had much of a chance, frankly, because of what the Chaos Agent was doing, and there was a lack of sustain in the back lines. But if I didn't use that ambush there, it changes things. If I tried to focus fire his front line, if I did go, which was my initial thought, Carnage Titan ambush, Baradallan ambush, what am I doing? Again, I'm burning down tanks that don't even do anything. They're not, and I'm not even sure I burned them down, by the way. Right? They had double heal, they had immunity, and so it wasn't exactly a foregone conclusion that I was going to erase those. This card was key. So I do bring Chaos Agent often, and one of the points that I want to say here is flexibility. Like I said, I had one plan and I changed into another plan. But another point I want to make is that you need to have start to have a little bit of a list of cards that you like to partner with your ambush. And if you have 2 or 3 of them and they look, they give you 2 or 3 different looks in any one battle, that is amazing. That is optimal. Like if you can bring, in that case, I had 2 frontline tanks that I would be happy to have them ambush, or I could give one of them the ambush and throw it on the Chaos Dragon. There's other options like with opportunity or with interesting plays with scatter shot. If he brings a taunt and you bring a scatter shot, that can be an interesting ambush monster, because you might go around it, because usually if somebody brings a taunt to control your attack, because they're really protecting vulnerable other smaller monsters, so scattershot can be that evasive moment and allow you to delete something that's really critical to your opponent's defense or attack, and so giving that one extra round 0 ambush, I'm finding, is very powerful. So in summary, you want to have, I guess, a variety of options. You need to know who your win condition or your carry card is. you want to stay flexible, but you need to act quickly. You only have that short window of time, and you need to make sure that you're considering all your opponent's synergies as well as your own, because that's going to matter and calculate into what the ambush ends up looking like. It's very difficult to use well, but I think as we use a card like this, and maybe this is true for all the Rebellion cards, you're going to find more and more often that you're getting better and better at it. My data is quite poor still. This is only around day 2 of utilizing these cards, but from the summoners, my Akane, where's my Akane? It is a very low 7 and 18, but I'll tell you, I think yesterday I was 2 and 15. So we're starting to figure it out, and maybe by next week I'll be able to report. I am going to renew this, by the way, splintercoach.com, not a paid ad, but I like this, the personalized battle history that it tracks for me. So hopefully in a month or even a week or 2, I'll be able to see a real improvement with how I'm using Akane. So that's Akane, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.